The next time you have a cold, well, you may need a prescription to buy popular medications.
Pretty soon we're just going to be having urgent care for cold products.
We've got good news if you're looking for a job. We'll tell you the local company is hiring hundreds of people.
Well, I'm disappointed, and I think we're all disappointed.
Why the long-awaited HERS renovation is on the back burner.
So how has the housing market changed over the decades in Springfield? We'll talk to a longtime home builder.
You're watching KOLR10 News at 10.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sonia Coleman.
And I'm David Oliver. Good to have you along tonight. Up first on your news at 10 o'clock, medical coverage. It might get harder to find medicine you take for colds.
Emily Baucom learns state lawmakers believe the new frontier in the war on meth is at your local pharmacy.
She's live right now at Grove Pharmacy to explain.
The governor is pushing a law that would require a prescription to get any cold medication with pseudoephedrine. Now, most people, when they hear pseudoephedrine, they think Sudafed, but look at this. Tylenol Sinus, Mucinex D, Claritin D, Advil Cold and Sinus, all medications people take every day, and they would all need a doctor's note.
Pharmacists dole out pseudoephedrine products to help people relieve nasal congestion. But others,
this is meth country,
have more sinister plans.
Pseudoephedrine is the ingredient that makes meth.
Just 2 months ago, Governor Jay Nixon unveiled an online database pharmacies will use to track those purchases.
You can even see from the beginnings of that, the first few months of it, that people are gaming that system.
Local pharmacists tell us they just now completed software upgrades necessary to make that computer database work, so no one really knows how effective it is.
Why are they in another rush now to implement another system when they haven't even given this one a chance to work?
Pharmacist Gary Grove worries requiring prescriptions will just make it harder for law-abiding citizens who get sick.
You're going to have to call the doctor's office. You have to make an appointment. You would have a copay, and it may or may not be covered on your plan.
Sounds like a headache. And allergy sufferers are split on the remedy.
That's extra money, and that's extra time. That's time off work.
This way they know that you're signing for it.
Grove predicts an unfortunate side effect.
Pretty soon we're just going to be having urgent care for cold products.
A risk the governor seems willing to take.
We will continue to gain ground using every weapon in our arsenal.
The governor has the support of numerous law enforcement agencies across Missouri. The Taney County Sheriff, though, worries about his part of the state. He says we may see people go over the state line into Arkansas, buy pseudoephedrine there, then bring it back into Missouri and make meth with it. Reporting live in Springfield, Emily Baucom, KOLR10 News.
Making it tougher to get medicine with pseudoephedrine may be an unpopular step, but lawmakers say the numbers show meth dealers are winning. New laws made a dent. By 2006, authorities counted just a little more than 1,200 labs. But this year, they're expecting that number to jump to nearly 2,000. If the law passes next year, Missouri would be the third state to require prescriptions for pseudoephedrine products.
At a time when unemployment numbers still hover around 9% nationwide, we are getting some good news tonight from a pretty large local employer. Jennifer Denman has our good news at 10 about a hiring effort starting at the T-Mobile Customer Care Center in Springfield.
The company will hire approximately 300 people throughout 2011. These will be local jobs, not people brought in from other places. So the company says get your resumes perfected and turned in if you are one of the many out there searching for a job.
I think it's great. It shows maybe the economy is doing a little bit better, trying to get a little bit more revenue and get some more jobs for people as well.
The first hirings will begin as early as January. About 30 people a month will be hired, adding up to about 100 in the first quarter. The company is looking for people with customer service experience. For example, maybe you worked in another call center, a restaurant, or even retail environment. This call center only deals with inbound calls, so you aren't calling people, selling them deals. T-Mobile says while others have been laying off people, it's happy to have such good news for the local economy.
Despite the economic downturn that we've seen in the local area as well as nationally, we've not had any layoffs or anything associated, here at the Springfield Call Center with that kind of situation. It's a very stable environment, very fun and creative environment, very supportive of our employees, and we also have a lot of career path opportunities for employees.
T-Mobile says these employees will make between $10.50 and $12.50 an hour. These are full-time jobs, and they do come with benefits. The company asks people to apply online, where you will be asked to fill out a background profile. And to make it easier for you, we've provided a link on our website. That's ozarksfirst.com.
HERS is once again on hold. Today, the owner and developer of the former Springfield department store said he would not move forward on the renovation project. Jeremy Stevens joins us with more on this developing story.
HERS first started and opened in 1915 as the Ozarks' premier shopping destination, but for the last 15 years, it sat empty. And today's announcement by Kevin McGowan comes just months after the city of Springfield approved plans to consider a $2 million small business loan toward renovations on the building. In a statement, McGowan said, "I have only the greatest appreciation for the efforts of the city of Springfield's elected officials. However, with the changing economy, this deal is left with too much risk and too little reward for Blue Urban to proceed." City officials say that they are disappointed, but understand that this was business.
It's also very understandable in this economy. It's difficult to get financing for a project, especially a large redevelopment type project. So it's we understand, and we know he's disappointed as well.
Kevin McGowan said just the application for a loan from the Department of Housing and Urban Development is thousands of dollars and may not have been approved. New rules put in place this summer look at all the applicants' projects. Kevin McGowan did have some properties in St. Louis that were at risk of foreclosure, and he thought that could impact his chance for getting approval for the HERS loan. The overall budget on the project was $30 million. Now, one business owner on the square says part of the reason that he set up shop there was because of the HERS renovation plans, but he says business will go on.
And I know it impacts a lot of the view that Greater Springfield has of downtown, the situation with the HERS, but bottom line is there's a lot of businesses down here and there's a lot of people coming down, even more so than when we opened.
Now, we were unable to reach Kevin McGowan this evening for further comment on his future plans of the building, but he will be boarding up that facility in accordance with city ordinance, but he has no timeline yet for future development.
Jeremy, thanks once again. There have certainly been plans now in the works for years on this thing to renovate the HERS building. The department store, again, closed back in 1995. 11 years later, in 2004, developer Von Prost entered a partnership with the city to put both homes and businesses there in the building. But 2 years later, the city bought the building from Prost for $3 million after he ran into some financial problems. It turned around, sold the building to Kevin McGowan for the same amount in 2007. He has worked since then to try and get funding for the project. And as Jeremy mentioned there in the report, in August of this year, the city agreed to a term sheet and was going to loan McGowan $2 million.
Springfield police are looking into a shooting in downtown near the Grant Street Bridge. Investigators say a homeowner told them some men were trying to break into his house on Wall Street just after 5 a.m. That's when he got his gun and shot one intruder. That man has serious injuries and was taken to a local hospital. Another suspect wasn't hurt but is under arrest with charges pending. Officers say the men did know each other, but their exact relationship is unclear.
That shooting right there certainly raises more questions about the so-called castle doctrine and how you can protect your property. It went into effect in Missouri back in 2007, and Springfield police say they don't really see any examples of it used very often, but they say it's important for all of us to understand how it's used.
You have to reasonably believe that the person that's committing the crime, breaking into your house, is there to commit deadly force against you before deadly force is authorized. So be very careful. Don't confuse the two. You can't just, shoot at somebody because they're breaking in your house.
So what's protected under that castle doctrine? Police say a dwelling structure with a roof that includes a house, apartment, hotel, and even cars and RVs.
4 people are dead after a domestic dispute near St. Louis. Around 10 this morning, Bonne Terre police got a 911 call from a woman. She was screaming and was saying someone was trying to kick down her front door. When they arrived, a man was running away. When they confronted him, he shot himself. In the home, a man and woman were dead. Outside, another woman was found shot in an SUV. She later died at the hospital. Officers also found 2 young children, but they were not hurt. Police have not released the victim's relationship to the shooter.
Also, 2 people dead tonight after a gang-related shooting at a St. Louis funeral home. The victims were there at the service there for a man fatally shot last week. 2 others were also hit. One is now critical. The other victim's condition is unknown because that person took off after the shooting. Police say the incident was the result of an ongoing feud between two rival gangs.
Former Alaska governor and Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin was in Little Rock today. That's part of her latest book tour. Hundreds of people were in line all day waiting to get her signature. That line started early Tuesday morning and was only open to Sam's Club members.
You certainly hear a lot of experts talk these days about the state of our housing market, but what are the thoughts of those who witness decades of ups and downs?
Most people want more houses than they can afford. That's just human nature.
Next on Your News at 10, a longtime Springfield home builder shares his unique insight why he says it's not as bad as you might think.
Also, an eel in Japan proves he can do more than entertain crowds at this aquarium, how his energy is helping visitors celebrate Christmas.
Count on Color 10 News with David Oliver, Sonia Coleman, Chief Meteorologist Ted Keller, and Sports with Dan Lucy. This is Color 10 News at 10.